Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Souls podcast. Today's episode is about reclaiming your flow, how to flow with life, how to not block, and how to create the life of your dreams. And to embrace that flow and that trust, I have the perfect guest with us today, Gemma Williams. Welcome to Empowered Souls.
Thank you for having me, Veronica.
So Gemma leads yoga teacher training courses and retreats for women. She's also a Reiki master, spiritual healer, and the sports Ayurvedic and Thai yoga massage therapist. Gem works closely with the natural rhythms of nature, menstrual rhythms, and Ayurvedic practices, working intuitively, looking at how the physical, mental, emotional, and energetic bodies are working together and how to best bring healing. So Gemma is a good friend of mine, and for me, Gemma is a very good example of someone who just flows with life, and I know that you set your intentions. I know you have your clear vision, you do the work, you put the effort, you do all that stuff, but you are able to trust and just flow and trust that whatever needs to happen will happen in the best way. And that's why I would love to talk about with you today. So tell us a bit more about how you are in your flow. How can people reclaim that flow, that natural flow?
Well, it's quite a big question, isn't it? But that's what we're gonna talk about.
We're started
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah. I think like so yeah, I mean I've been practicing yoga for a long time, and yoga is a big, and a yoga teacher, etc. But yoga for me is a big tool. It's a tool for me and my life. So the language I use is often quite yogic, but it doesn't have to be. If you're not into yoga, that's absolutely fine. So when I talk about being in my yoga union, I'm really talking about being in my alignment. So whatever that means to you, to be in alignment. So I feel like we can't really be in flow if we don't know our own alignment, or we don't know really, if and yoga talks so much about alignment, but if my mind's telling me these things that I need to do, what I should do, etc., or what I think I should do, and my heart and soul are, my heart's maybe in the past, and my soul's saying these, knows my purpose of why I'm here with no fears, then for me that's out of alignment. So for me, that flow space comes when everything is in alignment. So that's kind of, and that's not a one-time thing. It's not, oh, you know it and that's it. It's a continual, day to day, moment to moment. If you're self-employed and you have your own business, something doesn't feel right, something's not flowing, money's not working somewhere. Okay, what's out of alignment? How can I be more in alignment? So for me, it's a lot about keep checking in, not just doing things because it's the way I've been doing or the way other people have been doing things for a while, not doing it because other people are, not doing it because I should do, but really, I guess a big practical tool of that is creating space and time for you to have that connection with yourself and communication with yourself, to keep checking in regularly, because only you can answer that. And then when you know that, when you get more clarity on that, and some people might be saying, but how do I know? Well, the things that light you up, the things that bring you joy, that's a really good like a signpost, a big indication of what you should be going towards. But often, because of life experiences and the world around us, we're not taught that way. So it really is a big journey of going inward ourselves and taking that responsibility ourselves. No one else is going to do it for us.
Absolutely. I love being in alignment. And yeah, I think we intuitively know when we are not aligned, when our actions, our words are not aligned with the desires of our heart or what our soul is telling us to do, because things just don't flow, right? So it's kind of easy to see that that there is no alignment, because what happens is that life kind of doesn't flow, things feel blocked, heavy. But when you're in alignment, everything seems to just, doors open for you, new opportunities arise out of nowhere. But I also see how sometimes we can get so caught in the busyness of life and the stress of life that sometimes we can even get caught in kind of the hamster wheel, and we might not even realize that we are out of alignment, right? So that can also be I felt like that for a long time. Intuitively, I felt that there was something not quite right when I was working in banking before I started my coaching and energy healing business. and things weren't working. It was, but I had no idea why. I had no idea why. And the reason was that, yeah, my heart, my soul was completely not aligned with what I was doing, with the work I was doing. But for for a long time, I had I had no clue, basically, that was the problem. So how do you check in with yourself to, you know, to assess, is, you know, is this the direction I'm supposed to be taking? Is everything aligning? How do you check in with yourself?
There's quite a lot in what you just said, but how do you check in with yourself is, and because like you said, sometimes we're in places in life, or other people in places in life, where it's unconscious as well. We don't know we need to check in. So I think before we get to a place where we think we should check in, is the more awareness we can have with what, like you said, about feeling blocked, or, you know,
Mm.
intuitively we know, or that
Yeah.
stagnation. Is, first of all, we have to be aware of that, because that's the message, that's the guidance, that's the indication that we're not in flow, that we're not in alignment, because
Mm.
we just don't, we feel off, you know, we're very tired. Going to work takes more energy, you know, it takes so much energy
Mm.
because we're going against our being, against our flow. um and, you know, then some people, you know, taking, you know, coffee, stimulants, alcohol on the
Yeah.
weekend, whatever it is total fine. It's like self-medicating, whatever, to cope with that as well. So, but everyone's on their own individual journey, and we're all on a, there's no, you know, if we take away time out of the, you know, if we take time out of the equation, then we're all just in this soul path, in this human
Mm.
body, learning what we're meant to be learning. So, you know, for
Mm.
those that are still in there, that's okay, because that's kind of like, you know, maybe the time that you spent in the banking world was what you needed, because then with
True.
that, at the other end is like, okay, now I know, I have all this guidance system of what I do want and what I don't want, etc. But then if we're in a place where we're open to hearing this, and we know, you know, we can kind of be aware when we're out of, you know, when we need to spend time and space to be,
Mm.
then really the only question is to ask is, when you're not feeling great, you know, when you're not feeling enjoy,
Mm.
when you're feeling blocked, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling stagnant, and the mind might perceive, you know, the mind straight away wants to go into in analyzing and questioning and action planning to make myself not do this. But really all we mainly need to do is just be still,
Mm.
create space, whatever that is. Maybe it's having a cup of tea on the sofa with your, without your phone, just take a few deep breaths, or sitting in the garden, you know, if it's the winter, with your coat on, looking at the sky, looking at the trees, whatever it is, to just to be with
Mm.
yourself, with nothing else, so that you can really listen. And
Mm.
it's not the mind, it's, we're not talking about the mind, we're, and if it helps, because the mind is very is like a trickster, and it's very clever. But
Yeah.
if you're not sure about, you know, if it's the mind or not in the mind, then just be aware of your body. So if you're sitting
Mm.
outside or inside, whatever it is, but just be aware of your body, feel your body. And I like to, you know, connect with my heart space, and
Mm.
then just, instead of, you know, the mind's going to do its thing, but just keep letting go of that, and bringing my awareness into my heart space, and just asking, you know, what do I need at the moment, what, you know,
Mm.
and that kind of thing. But just, yeah, just when you don't feel good, um be in stillness and space, and do whatever you need to connect back to yourself, because
Mm.
you'll have all the answers always.
Absolutely. And I think that sometimes we can be afraid of stillness and just being, because we think that the answers are going to come from a very busy mind and very active mind and taking notes and making a plan. But actually, when we are get caught in that, there's no space for inspiration, for ideas. It's from that place of stillness and being open to connect that you can get a sudden eureka moment, or an inspiration, or, oh, that idea. And yeah, I love the idea about connecting with the heart. And in the last few talks or workshops I've given, I've been talking more and more about it. Like, even at the beginning, at the sessions, I might be saying, let's take a few deep breaths and let's start to bring the awareness from the head to the heart. So even if you're just listening to this, even this episode, like people who are listening to this episode, so you're not listening through the filters of the logical mind and all the beliefs and all the chatter. So you're listening from the heart, and, you know, and that way is how a word can really resonate with you and speak right to you, rather than, yeah, the busy mind, which, like you say, it can be a trickster. The logical mind is great, you know, for like practical stuff, but when it comes to being in alignment and flowing and knowing what's right for you, Yeah, like you said, the heart is the one that has the answers, isn't it?
I just wanted to say a little bit on the mind. You know how you said at the beginning, like I'm very kind of, my mind loves to plan and have structure, and I think like the principles of masculine and feminine, so not the male
Mm,
and female body, but the principles like yin and yang. The masculine is the structure. So I like to like kind of plan my week, or have, kind of see where my week is at. And with that, I like to have lots of space. I never, years ago I would have filled it up a lot. Now I like to, my kind of booked in sessions, and then lots and lots of space to
mm,
do things I need to do with my business, but also, like I said, for the ideas, for the eureka moments.
yeah,
And but if we create the structure, this like if we have a structure, then the healthy masculine, the healthy yang, then the mind, it's also giving the mind a job to do. So the mind's like, okay, I'm content. I've got a structure. I know what's happening. And then the feminine, or the Shakti, whatever. But then you have the space for creativity and flow. So
yeah.
it's like having the safety of the structure so that the flow can be there.
Absolutely. And it's about the balance, right? And the harmony, because if you're just, flowing is not about, oh, let's improvise every day, and who knows, if I have a client today, if I have work today, fine, if not, whatever. It's not only about planning and trying to get everything sorted. Is the beauty is in the balance, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And um and for the listeners, Gemma and I help each other a lot with keeping each other accountable, right? Like we do this every month, and we have that, like kind of like that young structure, like, and that energy of, right, we have this vision and we're gonna go after it and we're gonna put the energy on it. But like you said, allowing that space to create, to flow, to recharge, to nourish, just for all the for all that beauty, for creativity, which we're going to talk about it in a second. But I think a lot of people, because in this world I feel that the qualities of structure, goal setting, achieving are much more valued than the more feminine qualities, the flowing, the seasonal changes, the creativity, the stillness, right? And we're all very good at the planning, goal setting, achieving, but then is the trusting, the just trusting that things will unfold, and what I call not micromanaging the universe. You set your intentions, you know where you're going, you put the work in, and then you trust that the results will happen in the best and highest way for you. And I think this is where most people struggle. I include myself in this group, in that trusting. I think you're a great example of how you do that with with flow, with ease. So yeah, so any tips to have that balance between the structure, the planning, but then also allow the trust and just flow with how things decide to unfold?
I think the when we create that structure and intentions, like you say, like me and you love goal setting and intentions and then sharing them. And then so it's like there's that balance, and that's like the masculine, like you say, that's what we're very dominant, or what's kind of been praised in the world. So you've got
Mm,
the intention setting, goal setting, and then like just seeing it for what it is, like it's just for the clarity of the mind or a focus, etc. But then to not be attached to the outcome and to surrender. And that again comes into that the flow.
mm.
So it's, if because me and Veronica, we share what we're doing at the end of the beginning of the month, and at the end of the month we'll share again. But if things change, didn't happen, etc., that's really okay. There's no
Yeah.
there's no good or bad. It's just that if we didn't have a structure, then like you said, it's like, oh, maybe I have a client this month, or maybe I don't, and see what happens. So I think it's like using the tool of goal setting for what it is, which
Mm,
is really a practical, good tool as a self-employed person, but also then practicing. And I think it's like a muscle to practice, is the surrender, the trust. It's something to practice. And if we have had a background of not being able to, or finding that hard, then you can practice it with small things, anything that's over throughout your week. With all the, you could have smaller goals that is easier to surrender, or you could have other dreams that are easier. Okay, I really want this, but I'm also, and something I love to use a lot is the words is, I wish for this, or whatever is best for my highest good and for the good of all. Because then it's
mm.
your Because when we want something, we're wanting it, when we're putting it down in words, we're doing it very much from the mind. I know it might be interpretation from the heart desire, but it's, or soul, but it's very much a linear, because it's coming to language. It's already from the mind. It's already linear and like this. So it's already limited. And often our wants, our wants, the things we want are often because, as I'm sure, most people listening to this are on that wavelength. It's more because we actually want to feel a certain way.
Mm.
So that's what it's more about. So if we then can, here's my month, this is what I want. And then if we think about the why, why do I want these things? And how do I want to feel? And then on that day, on that week, on that month, also taking action to how you can feel that way anyway. If you want more money to feel free and more creative and more, have more energy, then what can you do? Well, maybe in that moment you can put a song on and have a dance on your own, that then you've shifted your energy, and therefore you're surrendering the attachment to the want of it.
Mm.
And it's the attachment to the want of something that, as again most of us listening probably aware of, that creates the resistance. If we don't have the flow, if we want all these things, we want to change our life, we want to change our job, but we feel blocked, we feel stagnant, we intuitively know something needs to go, then we're not in the flow, and therefore we're not in receiving, and we're not in the pleasure of life. We're in the opposite. But as soon as we shift that, then we are in the flow, then we are in receiving the pleasure. We can look at the sky and the beauty of nature and take it in and enjoy it, rather than thinking about, oh, it's England, I wish I was in Spain, or whatever it is. Instead of always thinking the block of it, we can be in the flow, and then we can practice. So it's practicing, and then practicing on the small things that is easy to practice with, and then start practicing it gently with the bigger things.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think that is great advice. And I think you said something really interesting about when we set a goal, it's because we want to feel a certain way. And I think it's very important to also ask ourselves, why do I want this? Because sometimes I see that a lot of the time we want to, or we think we want to create the life that others expect us to live, maybe a family, society, group of friends, whoever is around. And a lot of times we create these goals based on the need of being accepted, by our close ones, or feeling validated, and based on the definition of success that might not match ours, really. And I resonate with that. I was setting a lot of goals that were aligned with the definition of success that I was kind of being taught, or that I had decided, based on my upbringing. But at some point it got out of date, it wasn't resonating with me anymore. And again, it goes back to what you were saying about not being aligned. So when we are trying to manifest, or the life we're trying to create is based on pleasing others, or what others might think of us or expect from us, we're starting from a position of complete disalignment, right? So we're gonna find, I would say, even more blocks, right? Because
And like exactly what you just said there, the only way out of that is to keep practicing being in the heart, right? So whatever situation we're in, whether we're in the best job in the world or not, and it could be to do with a relationship, friendships, anything, decisions we have to make. And like you said, we could be making decisions based on other people, what's expected of us. But if we let go of all those concepts and just practice being in our heart space, we would, come back to why here, then we will know what is right for us.
Yeah, and it takes courage. It's not it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but I do believe that there is so much beauty, and that once you set an intention that is aligned with, with your heart, with your soul, with your mission, your purpose, whatever you want to call it, once you start taking, even if it's small steps, I don't know if you have experienced that, but when you take a small step, a change, even if it's a slight change, but it's taking you in the right direction, it's like you receive these big signs from yeah, this is the way, this is the way, keep going, right? So I think being open to hearing the feedback from
and
the universe,
it's
right?
nice, and sometimes it's nice to ask for a sign as well, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
when we're, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure about this, and can I have a sign? And then you get a sign, you're like, okay, it's, it feels more confirmed that, this feels right.
Yeah. And I also love what you said about shifting the energy, right? So sometimes we can get too attached to the result, or like you were saying, I want money because I want to experience that, or I want to achieve this goal because this is how I want to feel. But how can you shift your energy to be in that emotion already, and to so what advice would you have for that? How would you recommend our listeners to go about that?
So
That's
yeah,
a tricky one, I know.
yeah. Well, it's also very individual, isn't it? So like thinking
Yeah.
about what it is you want. So if people have got right now, they want to write a list of all the things they want, and then actually analyze, looking at that, and actually reflecting on, well, why do they want to? Because we know that, from the law of attraction, etc., that if I want all this stuff, it also means I think I don't have
Don't
it.
have
It
it.
means
Yeah.
I think I'm in lack. I'm not enough. But when we go into like, oneness and consciousness, we're all, so there's no lack, there's no wanting, because we can step into everything. It's just our minds have lots of limitations.
Yeah.
So it's nice to write a list if you need some clarity. What do I want? Then maybe journaling on why, and what it is how it is you actually want to feel. And I think a nice exercise to do is to visualize and imagine your perfect day. If you can just use your imagination and creativity to meditate or daydream, or when you go to sleep, when you wake up, and just imagine your perfect day, but really focus on how would it feel. So where would you be waking up? What would you be doing with your time, your day? What would you be wearing? Who are you meeting? What are you doing? How do you feel? Like, the feeling is the most important thing. And you can be using your imagination, fake it till you make it. You're using the
Yeah.
subconscious, how it works. You're just planting those seeds of the feeling, and then you can journal upon that. And then, okay, so you've done a visual, like, you've kind of played with feeling the feelings, but then what can you do to help feel that? So like I gave the example of putting a song on, that often,
Yeah.
if I'm in a bit of a funk, put a song on, have a dance, that feels, that like really shifts the energy amazingly.
Yeah.
I practice yoga regularly, which moves my body. And when we talk about block and flow, for me, because I, like you, I work with bodies, and watching people in yoga as well. And if our bodies are stiff and tight, then that is, it's just a physical representation of how we're blocking the flow of life. So kind of moving, listening to body, how it wants to move freely, is a lovely way to, you're literally making the flow of life work for you. If you get out of your head and just move or shake, however randomly it needs to go, life force energy needs to move, then you're literally getting rid of the blockages, and you're literally going in the flow. But really, it'd be very individual of what brings you joy, what brings you freedom, all these things that maybe fundamentally we mostly all want, is that feeling safe, feeling free, feeling abundant. So what can you do? And there's so much work, obviously, with abundance and money beliefs and stuff. So much information out there. I won't go into all that, but what can you do? Maybe it's, you can buy a coffee and cake. Normally you wouldn't, because you wouldn't spend that. Now it's like probably like £8. You wouldn't spend it because you can't afford that amount of money on yourself for just a coffee and cake. But maybe it's like, no, I want to feel free and good and amazing, and I'm going to have my vegan gluten-free cake and whatever coffee and and I'm going to enjoy it so much, and it's going to make me feel amazing. And maybe I'm going to, maybe there's clothes that you keep in the back of the wardrobe for good occasions. Just wear them today. So many things. We can also, another one I love people talking about is throw away your skanky knickers and buy some knickers that make you feel good. Things like these, just really small things.
Yeah.
Be so individual and personal to everybody. Like what will shift that for you? And the more we focus on shifting the energy so that we feel the emotion we want, then one, the things we want will come to us really quick, and two, we won't even care if they come or not, because we already have the outcome, and therefore we have the surrender.
Those are great examples, and really great advice, because it's by kind of embodying that whatever we want to feel in the moment, then you feel it, and because you're feeling it already and you're embodying it already, what you're kind of the signal you're sending is, oh, I have this already. It doesn't come from a point of lack, or I don't have it, please, 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 universe, send me this money, or send me this partner, or send me this job, or send me this or send me the health that I don't have, that I'm lacking. You're just screaming, I don't have it, I don't deserve it, it's not happening. So yeah, quick ways to kind of get the energy moving and step into those elevated emotions, and then you attract more of it because you're already in that energy. That is wonderful. I would say there's something very important as well, is that I know you have done deep healing, and we both know how important that is when it comes to getting rid of limiting beliefs, whether that's money, whether that's love, whether that's your relationship with yourself, with the world, whatever it is. So yeah, I think that's also very important, because obviously if you have a very deep belief buried in the subconscious mind running the show for you, that you are not worthy, that you don't deserve it, that you're not good enough, and all these things that we have, because we all do this, we all have beliefs like that, and again, it's gonna block the flow even when you're not aware of it. so yeah, so I would say that that doing the deep healing and getting to know ourselves, and getting to know our inner blocks, and kind of releasing them is also super important. So I don't know if you have experienced that, and if you notice a difference, oh, once I did the healing or the inner work, then things started to shift.
Continue. It's daily. That I think I've been on that journey for a very long time, and I'm always like, it doesn't stop, it doesn't finish. It's not like one day you wake up, it's like, oh, I've got it now, I've got, all my blocks are gone. It's like it's, and
We
I'm
wish.
doing, yeah, exactly. But it's, yeah, it's also the beauty in it as well. But me going for sessions, or me doing self-healing or meditations, or my yoga is a continual daily thing of showing me where I'm blocking myself. And lack of self-belief is a big one for me, and lack of self-worth is a big one for me. So it's not that they go away, it's just that you 100%, that is a big part of that, and that inner, whatever you do to create more connection with yourself, and reflect and have space for yourself, whether that's on your own as well, but also going to a healer or a therapist or a coach. And a coach is going to really, like Veronica, is going to see the things that you cannot see, and be able to kind of like laser beam these shine the light in your subconscious layers of the limiting beliefs that are running the show. And that's why the bits that I'm doing all the work on the surface, but it's still not happening, and there's so many layers under the surface. But every time you see one, something shifts in your daily reality, in your external reality, and it's amazing. But yeah, it's, for me, it's a ever unfolding. It doesn't stop. It didn't begin, it's just like literally an ever unfolding. And another thing I wanted to speak on as well is gratitude. That's another big way to shift. And there might be some people listening that are like, but I've got the worst job ever, I can't leave it because of this, or whatever the situation. People might feel more stuck. They can't be like, oh, I just cannot visualize a good thing right now. So then what a nice thing to do is, journaling is always great, because it's kind of getting it out of the mind. It's quite a nice exercise for the mind. And start being grateful for the things that are good. If you're able in your body, that's a massive thing to be grateful for. If you do have a roof over your head, that's and the food that you do have in your fridge, even if it's like one thing, whatever it is, but just, and say it's a job, like the things that there's this one person in the office that I like, and start expanding from that, because then you're going to shift your energy, and therefore you might think differently about action to take to bring you out of the funk rather than stay in it.
Absolutely. I always say that if I could, when I work with my clients, if you have 2 minutes to do one practice every day, let it be gratitude. And Joey Dispenza has done a lot of research on this, and he talks a lot about manifesting, whether if that's your health, the relationships you want, the abundance you want, how to do that by being gratitude and visualizing yourself with that potential, and being thankful, being grateful, like it's already happened. He always says you have to feel like it's already happened. Can you be grateful? Because when you're grateful for something that, it sounds a bit counterintuitive, intuitive because it's something that you don't have at the moment. But if you can visualize yourself being grateful for it, then the signal you're sending is it's done, and then it's just a matter of the energy coming down into physical reality, so we can manifest that. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because gratitude is definitely, I believe, one of the keys when it comes to flow with life. And also because it's such a high vibration emotion, it shifts your energy already. You're feeling, like it's been a crap day, horrible. As soon as you're able to connect and say thank you, like you said, yeah, my job is terrible, but there was one person that said something nice to me this month. Well, use that moment to experience that gratitude and then just extend it or project it. So yeah, gratitude is definitely a must for anyone who's listening to this. I always say, if you have 2 minutes a day, use it for gratitude. And I want to bring another topic, because most of the listeners of this podcast are women. And for women, being in the flow, a huge part of it is our cycle, right? And flowing with our cycle. And again, here, I'm probably one of the best examples of what not flowing with your cycle is. And because again, it's like there's something wrong with being on our period, and it's like a taboo word, and and I used to hate it. I was like, oh, this is just a burden, so I was very disconnected from my body. And when I learned to flow with that, and I learned to discover the beauty in all the stages of our cycle, and how to embrace them, and how to go with them, how to surf the wave, rather than thinking, no, I want to control the wave, and I want the wave to be still now. And I want the wave. You can't do that. How can you surf the wave? How to be still when it's still coming, and then when that it's coming, then boom, right? Rather than trying to control the wave. So yeah, for me, it was a game changer, at least to learn to do this. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
The same thoughts. And I think being a woman, or a woman who has her menstrual cycles, there's also a lot of power in there as well. And if anyone hasn't read the book Wild Power, that's an amazing book.
Please.
And there's many other books and resources out there now, but I love the title of the book, Wild Power. So basically Veronica's saying, when you get on that surfboard and ride the wave, no matter what, that's when we're in our superpower. And so when it comes to the bleed, and also if we're self-employed, if we're women in business as well. And I run retreats for women in business with my partner Lulu, and we are massive advocates for all this stuff. And when we honor that cycle, when we honor the menstrual cycle, then our bleed can be this very magical time of going inwards. So basically, retreating from the world. And I know that's not always possible. And in the Wild Power book, they say, what 1% difference can you make this bleed? So whatever that is, maybe you have a cup of tea for yourself for 5 minutes, and that's all you did in that bleed extra. That's fine. But then, like the gratitude, you keep expanding 1% next time. So I know that some people, I don't have any kids, so that's a whole different story. If you've got like 5 kids running around and you're a full-time self-employed, whatever it is. So it's just kind of about creating a bit more space. But the bleed, even if it's when you go to bed and you listen to a guided meditation, the bleed is this very, very powerful, potent time. It's also a big clearing time, emotional clearing time. Or maybe also, if you believe in that, the ancestral clearing time as well. So it's a very powerful healing time, but it's also a deep time of inspirations and wisdom and intuitions, all these things. So another practice you can do, even if you're busy, is to really be aware of your dreams. So maybe write your dreams down as soon as you wake up on your bleed, because you could get some powerful messages there. But it's such a power time. We're not going to go into the separation of the history of everything, but this is the big reason why the women was put down, is because of our power. So reclaiming our cycle and our bodies is about reclaiming our power. But when women reclaim their power, they want the best for the community and the land. So that's why it's very, very important that we step into our power, especially right now with with Earth. So yeah, the bleed is like this magical time of, and if we're self-employed, then that's going to be like your insights and your aha moments and everything. But you have to kind of let go. So for my business, I've learned now that around my bleed, I don't do my physical practice of yoga, and my to-do list winds down before my bleed,
Yeah.
and then I try and do as least as possible on my bleed days. But then if you really honor that, and I know when I don't honor that, then when it comes to ovulation, or the bleed is like seen as your inner winter, and then you've got your spring coming to pre-ovulation, ovulation, your summer. If you respect that bleed and that winter, then summer you've got double energy. You are on
Same.
fire.
Yeah.
You are ready to go. But if you had to work, if I had to run a teacher training or retreat on my bleed, then normally the ovulation summer comes and I'm like, I'm so tired. Like I can
Yeah.
feel it when I
It's like you
listen, when
struggle
I
the whole cycle, right? It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
you
It's like,
haven't
oh, I've
allowed
only had
yourself to
one.
recharge.
Yeah, yeah. And if we can just like, and every woman is different. It's not that
Yeah.
every woman wants to lay on the sofa. I mean, most of us probably do. Just want to watch just like literally like a duvet and eat chocolate,
Blanket,
and
yeah.
that's exactly. If that's what you want, great, do it. But like but other people it might be something different, but it's about listening to what you really need. And when it comes to the ovulation, as a self-employed business person, then you can 10 things done that day. You've got so much clarity. And also I really so the Wild Power book I recommend massively, because there's a lot of practicality in that book.
Me
But
too. Yeah.
also just researching your menstrual awareness cycle. So then if you start journaling your understanding, day one is when you start your bleed, day one, looking at your days. And then one thing that was so interesting for me was my day 21-ish, which is the autumn going into winter, so pre-bleed to bleed. I noticed that around day 21, I was feeling sick. And I've had a lot of digestive issues. So I always, if I felt sick, I was like, oh, it's what I've eaten today, etc. But I noticed around that time, it was actually that change in gear for me, that time was actually very subtle, that I needed to rest. So now when I'm around that time, I already know that I need to be doing less that day. And I loved like in the Wild Power book, they talk about crossover days. So we've got our
Yeah.
like 4 seasons, we've got the 4 stages of the menstrual cycle, but then the crossover days are the shifts, like in the year with the equinoxes and the solstice, which are actually very sensitive days. So the more we get to, like you're saying at the beginning about knowing ourselves, the more we get to fine tune and understand how we work with our cycle, we really get to know ourselves more. And also that a lot of women experience negative thinking, and really negative thinking before their bleed, but also
Yeah.
understanding that, like why is that there, and embracing that, etc. Then we just step more into our power, more freedom, more energy, more vitality, more health.
Absolutely. More flow. I totally agree with you. When I don't allow myself to recharge during my period, then I feel that I'm kind of like just dragging myself the rest of the
Same.
rest of the month. And I used to think, oh, but I can't. Obviously, I'm not going to cancel a session. If I have something booked or an important appointment. But if I have drinks after work, yeah, I would
Same.
totally ditch that, because I know that if I allow myself to recharge, I'm not missing on anything. Or even if it's just I don't force myself to do work when I know that I'm not flowing with it, because I know that if I wait 6 days, I'm going to do it so much better. So yeah, life gets in the way, and we cannot always just go disappear for 3 days and go to a moon lodge. Wouldn't that be amazing anyway? That would be amazing. But I understand that we can't do that, but there's always something that we can do. And what I never knew until I started to study these things, and yeah, Wild Power is an amazing book, is how much more connected with our intuition we can be at that time of our cycle when we're bleeding. And actually, I don't know if it's Wild Power or maybe other books that I've read, they use the expression bleed on it. If you have to make an important decision, bleed on it, wait until you have that moment of stillness. Because if you let go of the idea that is something bad, that is dirty, any negative beliefs around it, any judgments around it, if you just allow yourself to embrace it, like for me, the stillness that comes during those days, it's like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like I'm a walking, meditating person. Like I don't even need to sit and meditate. It's just like that stillness comes from within, and you can get a lot of inspirations and ideas. So yeah. So I'm also a big advocate advocate on educating people on this topic, because we are hurting ourselves so much when we fight it, when we go against it, when we repress it. And yeah, a big part of it, a big part of creating our dream, like a big part of flowing, is flowing with our own cycle. And I mean, it makes sense. In the summer you wear flip-flops, in the winter you wear a coat, right? You don't wear the same clothes, when the seasons are changing. And so it's the same. It doesn't make sense to keep the same workload, or to do the same tasks. That is a very men are different, so for them that works, because we are different. So yeah, so for me that was a game changer. And yeah, you can't flow if you don't flow with your cycle. It's like, yeah, you're fighting yourself, basically.
100%. I'll just add something for anyone who's listening who doesn't bleed, like is having any issues there, or if they're premenopausal or menopausal, then you can work just to the same kind of principles. You can work with the moon, right?
With the moon,
the full moon can be about a lot about the letting go and going inward, and the bleed time, and then the new moon can be a lot about that new energy. So I just wanted to share that with anyone listening who's not bleeding.
Absolutely. And again, and menopause is the same, and actually, when women stop bleeding, they have all that energy that they become. I mean, we are not in that stage yet, but I want to believe that when the time comes, I will experience what many women talk about, like becoming super intuitive, and even developing more clairvoyant skills, because all that energy that is not lost through bleeding and through the cycle, it makes you like even more powerful in a different way, but it gives you that inner wisdom and many other skills. And it makes me very sad that we think of menopause of like, oh right, okay, so that's the end of it, and now it's all downhill. I don't want to, I don't like saying it, thinking of it like that. And yeah, and even if you don't bleed, we are very synced, we are very connected with the cycles of the moon. So yeah, so for all the wise women out there that don't bleed anymore, balls of intuition. yeah, don't think that we're not talking to you, definitely. Yeah. And within our flow and our cycle, there are lots of times when we might feel more creative. And creativity is something, you are very creative. I forgot to say, actually, in your introduction, how talented you are at painting, singing, playing instruments. So Gemma is like, has a limitless box of talents with her. And how expressing that creativity, whether that's kind of even in a professional way, like you do your singing or your painting, but it doesn't need to be in a professional way, how expressing that creativity, right, can help so much with just flowing and feeling more in harmony, even more fulfilled, I would say. So tell us a bit more about that.
I'm really passionate about always have been about the subject of creativity, because for me, creativity is being human. And I always think about like the ancient tribes, like if you think of tribal, most of us can have an idea that they're all dancing together, they're all singing together, they're all playing music, they're all making jewelry, they're all painting their bodies, and they're making things, and they're being creative. And there's not a few of the tribe going, I'm not good at that. And some of the tribe going, I can't even draw a stick man. I definitely can't put red paint on my face. Like they're just doing it because they don't have any filters. They don't have any negative beliefs. They don't have culture telling them differently. So for me, it feels very our human natural state of being. And it's a very important part of being a human. And it's a very, like it is our well-being and vitality all in one. And it's that when we allow life force energy to flow, which is being in the flow ultimately, moment to moment awareness of flowing with our alignment and life force energy, then literally creating your to-do list is creative. what you decide to make for dinner and making dinner is creative. If you're a manager at work, you have to be creative to do problem solving. So it's literally part of life, 100%. Like it's the same thing. And then when it comes to being creative or activities like, crafts, art, the things that we think of, it could be anything, absolutely anything though. It could be gardening, it could be being at the beach and making a lovely pattern with the stones, it could be anything. Then that comes to the individual of what brings you joy, and it's part of human expression. And it's only more the school systems and I don't know, parents and other people's stuff that has made people believe that, because I hear it so much. The line I've heard so many times is, I can only do stick men, or I can't even do stick men. Like that's what people say all the time. And it's irrelevant. I mean, if you enjoy doing stick men, great. Shove loads of paint on a piece of paper, then also great, but it's not what's, again, it comes back to that creating like an action plan, like creating an idea and then surrendering what you want. And the action of creativity, so creating a painting, for example, is actually about the activity of creating the painting. It's not about the end result or what that means to anybody else at all. It is, so when I play music, it's for me, for expressing myself, and that's it. And that's literally it. And if I gave you I saw it on the back there, the poem and art book I did, and yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah.
So
That beautiful book, that's Gemma's, yeah.
so for years I did a lot of traveling, so I was always giving my paintings away, whatever. And I had a lot of poetry. So for like over 10 years, I was like, I want to make an art and poem book. So that was like a thing of like 10 years of, I'm going to do it, but I didn't. I kept putting it off or traveling, etc. And then the reason why I made that book was just for the action of making the book. It's not published or whatever. I've got a bunch of them and I sell them or give them as gifts. But the intention of making the book, which I wrote in there at the beginning or the end, I can't remember, is about inspiring others to be creative, to do whatever they want. Like there was no, I haven't I advertised it a little bit when I made it, but that's it. Like it's basically, I created it. It's out there, and it's for the intention. I put some music on Spotify. I put it on there, and that's it. It's there. I don't do anything about it, but it was a beautiful process to create. And I love. There's a book called can't remember what it's called. Oh, it's got magic in the title, by the lady who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Big Magic. It's called Big Magic, and I can't remember the author, but other people will know it. Big Magic. So it's about creativity, and it's saying that you have to create space. You have to kind of, almost like allow creativity to flow. So when I write a song, sometimes I write a song and I think my mind is like, oh, I don't like those words. Then what I tell myself is like, no, just allow it to come through. Whether I use the song or not, it doesn't matter. But I've got to be in the moment and just let, if you want to paint or draw or whatever is the creativity, instead of, the mind can block it quite easily. Oh, why are you doing that? Why are you going to spend your time doing that? But it's like respecting this flow of creativity. And in this book, and I've heard other examples, there's amazing examples around the world that are very real, where someone has this idea of a book, like a really detailed storyline for a book. They write a bit of it, it's in their head, they know about it, they don't finish the book because they're blocking themselves. And then somewhere in the world, someone writes exactly the same book. Or when people in the world have an invention, create an invention at the same time in the world, that's also happened as well. So we are just channels. Like when I write a song, it doesn't feel like it's from me. I can't, because people always ask that question. It's like, I say it's like being sick or something, like as in, like, it's not it's not, if you get the head out the way, it just comes through for every single person. So the more we get out of the way, and I know it's a lot of preconditioned ideas about, parents saying this and teachers saying this, and the education system marking out art, things like that.
Yeah.
But really, it really is the process of enjoying the creativity coming through and doing it. And so if you're wondering what should I do to be creative, then I always say, what did you enjoy doing as a child? Because whatever you enjoy doing as a child is probably what you love doing as well as an adult. You just forgotten about it, or you were told by adults that what's the point of doing that thing. So yeah, as children, we're like drawing, painting, dancing. We're just always in the moment. If you watch children, they have a life force energy, and the creativity is flowing through them constantly. And there's no mental blocks. As soon as they start getting older and getting more told what they should and shouldn't do, then that's where it goes downhill. But
Absolutely. Yeah. They don't care. They just want to have fun. They just want to enjoy. They just do whatever they feel like doing. And that's when they're told, no, you can't do that. Oh, that's silly. Oh, that painting is not very good. That is like, oh, right. Okay. And yeah, everything is blocked. I was just thinking as you were talking, how beautiful would be to replace everything you have said about creating, whether that's these beautiful paintings or a song, but instead of the painting on the song or the song, with life, with how we create our life, right? And I was thinking, it is the same process, isn't it? Right? Like
Yeah.
you came here, with your talents, your purpose, your mission, something to share with the world, or a lesson to learn, whatever it is, and how important it is to have that vision, but to be in the present moment, right? To enjoy the everyday. Is the same with light. When you're painting, it's not about, right, the painting needs to be perfect and it has to have this color here and that color there. No, you have a vision, maybe an idea, an inspiration, and then it's by being in the present moment and flowing and not blocking it by, oh no, I'm going to start again, by flowing with it, that then the result is a beautiful creation, which is what we do with life, right? Like create with every thought, with every word, with every intention, with every action. We are creating our lives. So yeah, I was thinking, oh, it would be interesting to to go back, and listen it again, but think about it instead of a painting with life, because it is the same principles would apply, right?
And like I say, like creative energy, life force energy, sexual energy, it's the same energy. It's the same energy flowing for us. And it's just, what do we do? Like we're talking about flow, what do we do? What are we doing to block that? And what can we do to unblock it? And just allow, like, it's just that present moment of being. And the creativity could be the impulsive action of what to do in your business that day.
Yeah.
And you do it and you don't let it be blocked. And oh, I've got an impulsive thing to reach out to that one client that I haven't spoke to for 6 months. But so it's like listening to those things, and definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the main is just coming to me. One of the main problems is that in general, we care too much about what other people might think and what other people would say, when we're painting something, or or a song, or if you want to write a poem or a book, or if you want to start a business, or if you want to start taking dance lessons, whatever it is that that your heart is asking you to do. It's always that, but what are they going to think about it? Maybe this painting is not good enough. Maybe no one wants to hear my song. Maybe no one wants to read my poem. Maybe no one would care about my business. And I think if we were more like children in that way, and not saying that we don't have to care about others, or just act without, control. It's not about that. But if we allowed ourselves to be more in the flow, and to just allow ourselves to express whatever it is, whether that's a crochet thing you make, or a big project you have in your life. But if we apply those principles of just allowing ourselves without worrying about the results, what others might think, life would be very different. I would say.
We have to, like what you're saying there, we have to come back to why are we doing it? So I'll give an example of me singing in front of people. I never used to be able to, and I was very scared and very unconfident. And the thing that I had to, like, you have to have a talk with yourself, like, constantly. And the shift I have with sharing music is that I do it because it brings me joy. So I've let go of what other people think about it, because it's irrelevant. And anything we do, like starting a new business, etc., whether I'm going to make that crochet or painting or something I'm going to do, and what will they think? Well, you're not doing it because of them. You just take that out. They're focusing on their life. They're probably like questioning what should they do with their life. Like, if they're
Exactly.
looking at your life, they're just distracting themselves. And if they do project their stuff on you, it's because of what they think about their own life. It's not actually. And the more we shift ourselves energetically to not care what people think, then the people we attract, they don't care what people think about them either. It's never about what people think about you. It's the other way around. And then if you're doing it because it brings you joy, then I believe the only thing that really can help the only way we can kind of change the world and help others is if we're in alignment, if we do what brings us joy. And we can only really do that if we have that self-love for ourselves to even want to bring ourselves joy. Then we're lit up, and then that inspires others to follow their truth, to follow what brings them joy. And that's, like I said, the action of me making that book is to inspire others to do what they want to do, what inspires them. That was my intention. It wasn't to be like, hey, well, showing people, but it's not. I don't care what people think, because I don't care, because that wasn't my intention. My intention is, I did it because it was felt really joyful for me to create it, and by showing that to the world, I want other people to be inspired to do what they want to do, because it brings them joy. Because life force energy, like you said, all the things, when life happens, we're in the flow, it feels good. That's it. So like the more we focus on that, and just literally let go of the concept of what other people think, because they're literally worrying about what you're thinking about them. Just let that go. It's
Yeah.
just so much wasted energy, and just
Yeah.
let's all just practice what brings us joy. And the more souls are lit up, I believe, the better the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. So true. And yeah, this is a great reminder, what you said about if someone is judging you or criticizing you, or I mean, first thing, it's not your problem, but actually a lot of the times it has more to do with what they think about themselves than what they think about you in the first place. Because like you said, sometimes they're just projecting that. And when we loving ourselves is so important, right? Self-love is so important, because when you love yourself and you accept yourself is when your true self can come out, can express itself, whether that's through painting, through singing, through your work, through your art, through your everyday actions, right? But it's like, if you think about it like a flower, it needs water, right? It needs attention, it needs the sun, it needs to be nurtured, right? If it's not nurtured, it doesn't grow. And we are the same. And if we don't give ourselves that love in the first place, no one else can replace that. No one else can replace that. So yeah, I think it's so important to come from a place of self-love and self-acceptance. And from a place of self-love and self-acceptance, then we can be authentic. And what I have found is that when you are authentic, when you're trying to be liked, thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, or this painting is going to be like this, or I'm going to give a workshop, thinking what people might like, it doesn't work. But when you just allow yourself to give birth to whatever you truly believe, because it comes from a place of authenticity, and people really, and people love it, and people like it. But because, like you said, you didn't make it for them in the first place. It was about the process. It was about the authenticity. And yeah, so I would say self-love is definitely such an important ingredient for that, right? Right. Okay, my love. So that's a lot of wisdom that you have shared with us today, and I'm so grateful. And I'm hoping this conversation will inspire people to get more creative, to care less about pressure and about others, and to just be more in the present moment, and to flow, and to be creative. And yeah, we will all be much happier, and we'll have we will have much more joy if we behave like that. So if there is one thing that you would like people to take from today's episode, what would that be?
You said about the self-love there, which is massive. That's like a foundational thing anyway, but to create space in your day, in your week, for you to reflect, or just to be, or to go inward, or listen to yourself, your body. So yeah, to create space just for you. And that space might be to sit, it might be to do something creative or whatever, but it's, we say, the world is really busy, but it's also our contribution to it that makes it so. So it's up to us to create space. So create space for you. And you have to love yourself enough to be worthy of creating space. So yeah, anything that's practices self-love, self-care, and creating space to listen to your heart and soul, just to listen.
Amazing. So if anyone struggles with this, set an appointment with yourself in your diary if you have to, right?
Google Planet, whatever, calendar.
If you have to have it in your diary, because otherwise you forget, book an appointment with yourself and treat it like you would treat an appointment with someone else. You wouldn't cancel or on someone else last minute, would you? So, and this is no joke. Like I have done sometimes when we get to a point of you know, like not being able to give ourselves that space, or we have to create it like that. It might sound silly, but no. So yeah, amazing advice. So tell us, Gemma, where can our listeners find you?
So I have a website called Gem Yoga, GEM, and I also am on Instagram, Gem Yoga Teacher Training, and Facebook, Gem Yoga. That's the main places. Yeah.
Perfect. So yes, I would definitely recommend you guys follow Gem, because, and if you have the chance to do yoga with her, one of her teacher trainings, that would be amazing. But even just for the things you share, you know, and sometimes when you sing and things like that, like you share a lot of really inspirational stuff. So yeah, the links to the website and the social media profiles will be all in the description of this show. So yeah. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for having me. Lovely to chat to you today.
Yeah,
Lovely.
thank you so much. So thank you everyone for joining. If you like this episode, please give it a like and subscribe, share it with your loved ones, and I will see you very soon. Sending much love and light for now. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.